Rush Duel is a fast-paced spin-off game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Where you can summon as many monsters as you want and draw up to 5 cards each turn. In this series, me and the Dr. Alex progress through each Rush Duel product release and build decks with whatever cards were available at that time. We have been drafting characters from the Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's anime and have exclusive access to those characters' boss monsters, and will continue to draft characters from the Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush series. Join us as we continue to battle it out in this series, Rush Duel Character Draft. Red Reboot of Darkness was released November 11th, 2023, and introduces Darkness fusion monsters, corrupted versions of existing fusion monsters made using Darkness monsters. Celeb Rose Gossip Witch and Celeb Rose Gossip Magician can be made using Darkness Paparazzi. Demolition Meltdown Dragon Darkness Blastomat can be made using Darkness Phantomite. To round out my boss monsters, I'll also get Infernal Kappa River Sprinter, Glacius, the Snowmeister of Sacred Splendor, and Galflare the Sky Savior Shine. Alex will gain access to the face card of the set, Red Reboot Enhanced Boost Dragon, made using Darkness Drake. Darkness Galactica Oblivion can be made using Darkness Dwarf. Alex will also gain the new fish support including Surging Wave Swordsman Onimaru Kunituna, Pitch Dark Surging Wave Swordsman Onimaru Kunituna, and Dark Hydro Cannon Neutron Bluefin. He will also get the new Red Eyes / Meteor Dragon support, including Meteor Black Mars Dragon, Meteor Swarm Dragon, and Meteor Black Drake. Alex will also gain new Wind Psychic support, Inflect Clive, the Dynamouth Deadly Dirge, and Bandiva the Ballistic Battle Ballad. Finally, Alex will receive Darkness Transamu Kraosis, and Dead End the Mad Fiend of Despair. So this is the deck we're bringing to today's game. This is Worms, and more specifically kind of evil worms, as we have a new Darkness fusion monster, that being Demolition Meltdown Dragon, Darkness Blastomat. So made using Blastomat and Darkness Phantomite, we can send the top 3 cards of our opponent's deck to the graveyard, then if a monster is among the cards sent, you could destroy face down cards of your opponent's field up to the number of monsters sent to the graveyard with this effect, then inflict damage to your opponent equal to the number of cards destroyed times 500. So this is reliant on 2 things. 1, your opponent has to have face down cards, and 2, your opponent has to have monsters on top of the deck. Now, monsters on the top of the deck shouldn't be too hard to happen. Most people run a lot more monsters than spells and traps anyway, except like the Solitaire deck. But the way we try and facilitate this play is by using our Darkness Phantomite, which is off of our fusion. We shuffle 2 worm monsters from our graveyard into the deck, change 1 face up level 9 or lower monster on your opponent's field to face down defense position. Then if your opponent excavates the top 3 cards of the deck, your opponent places the excavated cards on top of the deck in any order. So this gets to flip one of our opponent's monsters face down. Level 9 or lower means it does hit a wider variety of things. It can hit some fusion monsters, and we get to look at the top 3 cards of our opponent's deck effectively, which means we will know exactly how many cards we will get to destroy with our Blastomat. But most of the time, Blastomat will be destroying back row anyway, because getting rid of pesky legend traps is very important. So the other new cards that we have in this deck is 1, our new field spell, which is fantastic. This actually fixes a lot of the problems that Worms have had all these years. And this is Autumn Leaves of Blastopia. Activate this card by placing a worm type monster from your graveyard on top of your deck. This is fine. Sometimes you'll want to put a worm on top to mill it or to draw into it, but a lot of the time you'll just be getting it for next turn. While this card is face up on the field zone, face up worm type monsters on your field gain 300 attack, and if they attack a defense position monster, inflict piercing damage. This is huge. This now gives Worms a way to get to your opponent's life points, which they have been lacking. Other than this, the only other real ways we've had is using our fusion monster effects to try and blast holes in our opponent's lines, which is a little bit shaky. Autumn Leaves of Blastopia is great. It's only 100 less than our old field spell, and piercing is always going to be really, really good. The only problem this deck now really suffers from is getting out the fusion monsters is still the same old boring way. We have to use regular fusion. We have to tribute out our Blastomat, which means we have to invest a lot of resources, which then can be effectively wasted if our opponent has responses to our summons, which does kind of suck. This deck also lives and dies by the fact if we find fusion and if we find a field spell. If we don't find our field spell, a lot of our effects just don't work. We have no way to get to our opponent's life points. If we don't find fusion, our deck is kind of weak and caps out 2500 attack. So we need to find both of these cards, but if we do, we're in a pretty strong position. The only other new card we have is in the side deck, and that's because the main deck for this deck is so tight for space. Now, there are so many monsters that we really want to fit in here, and we just cannot fit them all. This is Demolition Soldier Ashiba BK, If you have 2 or less monsters on your field, you can send cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard equal to the number of face-up 1 monsters on the field times 2. Then if 2 or more monsters are among the cards sent, this turn, this face-up card is 2 tributes. So the milling effect on this is really, really good. We always are probably going to want the milling effect of this card, and it would be really great to have it in the main deck. I think maybe, realistically, we could maybe have taken out some of the Piccolons, but overall, I still think Piccolon can be better to get a card out of my hand and draw another card. But the double tribute effect on this is just kind of an added bonus. A lot of the time, we're not actually going to need this because this deck is quite adept at just getting out another big monster using stuff like Build Dragon. But I can see where this card comes in. It's just, again, there are just so many really good monsters in this deck. We also couldn't quite fit the Legend Magician and Legend Strike package despite having a Legend normal monster in the deck. And that's just because a lot of the cards in this deck really need you to have worms in the graveyard. We need worms in the graveyard for our field spell. We need worms in our graveyard to use the trap card Demolition Art Absolute Destruction. We need a lot of worms in the graveyard just to use a lot of our effects. And we need lots of worms in the deck to get Kotetsu biting off. So there's just so many effects that just require us to have tons of worms. Anyway, worms have always been really good to us. Hopefully we can pilot this deck to victory. Let's see what happens in our game against Alex. So last week we had quite the interesting matchup between Celebros and Fish. And I think we both agreed that you got a little bit unlucky in that game, unfortunately. You were unable to summon any of your fish monsters, so I did manage to take it. I think if we did replay that, like if we played that out 10 times, I think you win at least 7 of those. I don't think the Celebros Witch deck is weak, but I do think the fish are very strong. I think that's kind of my takeaway from that. As for this week, we both still have quite a lot of different decks we could bring. So last week, I predicted that you were going to be on dragons, and I was wrong. I don't know if you have any prediction on what you think I'm going to be on.
No, not a clue.
Okay, so should we just fire it in, and then we can just see what we're both on?
Let's go.
Hey. Right, we'll go first. So we each have 15 cards in extra, but I don't know if that actually reveals all that much at the moment. We will set some cards. We'll set a few more cards, and then I'm going to set a field spell and pass the turn.
Okay.
That's a Red Eyes Black Dragon. So we're on the dragon deck. The question is, have you tried to merge the 2 different dragon decks together, or have we just gone all in on the Red Eyes Meteor deck? Let's have a look. So you sent 2 of these to grave. Because during the turn, this card is summoned one, add an Earth Attribute monster with 1800 attack from your graveyard to your hand. Okay. Oh, there's an Earth Attribute monster with 1800 attack. Red Eyes back to hand, and we can discard it again. Oh, we are. Jesus, you're popping off this turn. You've opened so strong. We set up the graveyard. We've got to filter through our deck. There we go. Rocket Satellite Medic. Place 1 card from your hand on the bottom of your deck. Add a Meteor Dragon or Meteor Flare Fusion from your graveyard to your hand. So we know you have Meteor Dragon. Then Legend Strike, but we've already... Yeah, so we'll bring him back. We have to put one on my back pro. What are we going for?
Ooh.
Hit my Nobody Scat Thief. So you did hit a trap card, so it wasn't a bluff.
I would like you off the field, I think.
Yep. Alright, Fusion Summon, sending 2 monsters from your hand and or field, including Red Eyes, Black Dragon, Summon Skull, Meteor Dragon. Then if you summon a non-effect monster with effect, you destroy 1 card. So you've summoned an effect, so you can't get the destruction. But we do now have Meteor Black Mars. So if you have Meteor Dragon in your graveyard, send top card of deck to the graveyard. Until the end of this turn, this card gains attack equal to the number of monsters in your graveyard times 200. And piercing. Ooh, that's going to hurt. Especially since you've already filled your graveyard up with a ton of dudes. This is a really cool boss monster.
Yeah, I like him.
Ooh, and the Dragon Tribe Fusion as well.
Add a legend normal to... yes. And then need weenies. And be gone.
But what if they were all gone, Alex? With Mirror Force! Thank God I had that, because if I didn't, I might have just died. The question is, what do I do now? I don't really have a big fancy play to make here. We will set this. I guess I'll flip up my Demolition Soldier Katetsu Baiton. Now this is a bit awkward, because I can pay 500 life points, then took my deck to the graveyard. Then if I send a worm, I can add a helmet or a level 8 worm from my graveyard to my hand. Now the problem with that is, I don't currently have any of that in my graveyard. So I have to mill a helmet or a level 8 in order to actually get the effect off. But I guess I do just want more cards in the graveyard, so we will do that anyway. There goes Fusion. And that... I did that sequencing really poorly, and now I get punished for it. But that's fine. We will Tribute to and summon out Blast Hammer. Then I can activate my Autumn Leaves of Blistopia, which will put Helmet back on top of the deck. And now all of my worm monsters gain 300 attack and piercing.
Ooh.
We'll then summon out Dragline, who effect doesn't do anything right now. We'll set a back row, and then I think we will just go to battle here. And we'll see if we can't get in for just over half your life. And then we pass. So what I should have done was, instead of setting the helmet, I should have used Katetsu Bison first, because if I did mill a fusion, which I did, I could have got fusion back to the hand.
Indeed.
Well, you know I don't have a Mirror Force.
Dragon's Chick. Grab back Meteor Dragon.
You can distribute out if you want to. Don't know if you have anything better to do.
Rocket Satellite.
Gets you your fusion card back. If you need it.
Secret Order.
Ooh. What other cards are you using that you can use Secret Order with, then, is the question.
They don't want a 600 attack monster leaving on the field.
I mean, either way, just going into this is really good, isn't it? I mean, you could even just summon the vanilla, right? And pop a card if you want.
That's right.
You pop the back row as the safest, because it means it can't interrupt with you. Or you can pop a monster to try and get, I guess, more damage in, doesn't really matter. Ooh, goes for the Autumn Leaves. Okay. Suppose this does let you clear over Dragline. This hand is like, it's so close to being good, but it's like one monster away from actually working. Alright, we will activate Autumn Leaves of Blistopia, and I will put Blast Hammer on top. Then we're going to normal summon out Piccolon, activate its effect. We'll discard Helmet to draw.
Blast him.
Then we're going to activate Trade-In, discard to draw 2.
Ooh.
We're going to flip over Roar of the... Sorry, Primal Howling. It's new name, we'll put that to the bottom. Flip Darkness Phantomite. So I can shuffle 2 worm monsters from my graveyard to the deck, change a face-up level 9 or lower monster on my opponent's field to face-down defense position, then your opponent excavates top 3 cards of the deck. Your opponent places the excavated cards on top of the deck in any order. So we are going to activate this effect. And we will be putting these 2 back. Flipping this down.
Man, doesn't matter what order they go back in, right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. They're all going into your hand either way. Then we're going to tribute our monsters and summon out Gantry Dragon, who unfortunately doesn't have an effect.
Yay, Gantry Dragon.
We'll go battle and we will just attack over this. And then pass. Yeah, I was 1 monster shy of being able to use the helmet to get back fusion and being able to get out the Blast Hammer onto the field, because I needed both, and there was no way with the cards I had that I could do both of those things to actually get a fusion off.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to get that.
Okay.
And we will spend this.
Okay, so we are on the Dragius as well. get the red eyes. That outs the gantry. So if you have no monsters in your field, summons card in your hand. Activate top 4 cards of your deck. You can add a Meteor Dragon or Meteor Fair Fusion to your hand. So. Phoenix Dragon. Tributes it, okay. You could have used Phoenix Dragon's effect even, but I don't know if that would have actually got you anything. This ends up being more attack points, I think, than you would have gotten anyway.
Yeah, I could have gotten Dragius back, but that's... yeah, less damaging.
Okay, let's see what we can do. So we always activate Graceful Charity here. And we always send you. We always send you. Then we're going to normal summon our Demolition Soldier Katetsu Bison. We'll activate its effect. And we can add a card from grave back to hand. Now, I think we have to take back Blast Hammer here. I will summon Helmet. We'll then tribute both and summon out Blast Hammer. So if I use this effect, I can send 2 cards from my hand to the graveyard. I could send those 2. That will let me destroy all face-up monsters that are level 8 or lower on the opponent's field. So that will do it, right? We activate, send these, and then just to show that I have it, in case I don't get to use it in any other future games, I'll just do this quick. Behold! So this guy's pretty cool. He lets me send it. So I would use the effect of the other guy, Phantomite, to look at the top 3 cards of your deck, right? And then you get to rearrange them or whatever. Then I will know how many of them are monsters, so I can use this effect. You mill the top 3, and then I get to destroy that many face down cards you have. And obviously, again, Phantomite flips one of your cards face down, so I can hit at least one thing. So, like, it's a neat little guy.
Yeah, it's a nice combo.
Alright, well, we got that one. Let's see what happens in game 2.
I'm gonna go first.
Alrighty. El Magician. Let's see what you got. El Magician. Oh, an El Magician engraved's pretty good. Obviously, I'd rather have a red eyes, but...
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. Not many monsters in the old open. Okay, here is Helmet. And Toby Shock. Now, these two do have a fusion, but the fusion's effect gets you back a level 8 or higher monster from the grave. And spoiler alert, I don't have any of those. I think I am going to make it though. Behold! So I can activate its effect and just add back the fusion. That's fine. Ah! You know
And
what?
then destroy one card on your field.
That's the problem with not reading, right? I think this might be the first time we've actually ever summoned him.
That wouldn't surprise me, actually. Doesn't seem all that useful.
Well, so the logic is that you're supposed to get out the demolition shutter, right? Which makes it so your guys can't be popped.
Hmm.
So you target it, it doesn't get popped off. But yeah, that was just really stupid.
I'll activate this.
Okay, there's a Dragius. Okay, so there's 32 here. Alright, let's hope I can recover after my catastrophic play. We'll start with Graceful Charity. Right? Yeah. Right, we will start by summoning my Demolition Soldier Katetsu Bison. We're then going to activate Roar, get rid of one of your back row. We'll activate Katetsu Bison, pay the 5, mill. Now we can add a card from our graveyard back to our hand. So it has to be Helmet or a level 8. So here, I think we will grab back helmet. Then, this is where things get a little bit tricky, actually, because if I do what I want to do there, I can't do what I need to do elsewhere. How greedy do we want to get is the question, I suppose. Right, we'll summon out another Kitetsu Baiton. We'll activate its effect. And then we will add our Blasthama back to hand. We will then Tribute 2, summon out our Blasthama. Unfortunately, he's a vanilla while I don't have a card in the field zone. Then we'll summon out Phantomite. Activate Phantomite effect.
Oh, I'm less fun with this.
We will put 1, 2 back in. And I guess we will play it safe and flip this down. 1, 2, 3. Hoping for the 3. Then we will activate our fusion. Combine them both together to summon out my Demolition Meltdown Dragon Darkness Blasthama. Activate its effect and we'll get 2 pops. So I guess we're going to go for both the back row to be safe. We did get rid of this trap, which is Meteor Fall. When opponent's monster declares an attack while you have 3 or more Dragon types in graveyard, the attack monster loses 1,000 attack at the end of the turn. They set Meteor Fall. That's not bad. I don't hate that. It almost seems a little bit too fair, right? It's like, oh, it's only 1,000.
Yeah.
You mean it doesn't wipe your opponent's entire board and take half their life points off? Where do we want to go?
It's not Red Eyes Mirror Force.
Exactly.
It's absolutely fair.
The problem I have is you can just very easily summon out a big piercing guy. So like slapping a dude down in defense seems sketch. At the same time, if you can summon out something that's got piercing, you can also just as easily summon something massive and attack over this and get me with other cards anyway. So I think we will set go to battle and then attack into this. And then pass. Oh, there he is. It's always Red Eyes there, isn't it? Unless there's something specific you need.
Yeah.
Okay, Magical Stone Excavation. What are we discarding? Okay, so we want to get rid of the back row. Did we just discard? Okay. We're going to summon out the other. El Magician. And you will have another El Magician effect if you want it.
Fortunately, these guys on the grave don't do anything for me in the grave.
Well, you have ways to get Meteor Dragon back to your hand, right? You draw into your other guy. And you want to have your graveyard fill up for Dragon Tribe when you eventually get it. Okay. Prioritize
safer to just... Yeah. So I can get Red Eyes out, then you just beat over it.
Yeah.
Closer to my life points.
No matter what, we use Blasthama effect. You pop your face down card.
Ooh, very nice.
Right, we'll flip up Helmet. Activate Helmet effect. We pitch a field spell. Then we can take back Fusion. And if we added Fusion back, we can take a field spell back to our hand. We then activate the Autumn Leaves of Blistopia. Go ahead and chuck this back. Then we normal summon. We Tribute to go into Gantry, who effect is live this time. And then I believe with all the piercing.
Game?
Yeah, this is
Oh,
well
man,
over game.
that field spell of yours.
Yeah, it's an awkward one because if you get to this stage and you can get out 3 giant guys and then drop this field spell, it's like, well, you've won the game, right? This is it. There's nothing your opponent can really do about it unless they've got like really good trap cards. The issue is if you don't see this field spell, so many of your cards just don't do anything, right? If you just don't draw a field spell, Build Dragon doesn't do anything. Gantry Dragon doesn't do anything. You can't make use of the other Blasthamut's effect, the other fusion, because you have to like pop stuff. And that's where I think my deck falls a bit short. It's again, if you do find Autumn Leaves of Blistopia, if you do take control of the game, you get to win more, right? The place it kind of falls is that if you're not winning, none of your tools really get you back into the game. They're more like we say, they're more win more. As for your deck, we got to see some pretty cool shit. I think we should get a game 3 going though, because I think I want to see more of the dragon deck either way.
Spell card flooded there.
Yeah, I mean, it was very abundant when you just summoned the Legend Magician at first there. But just to like talk about it just briefly, I think if you're able to land Meteor Flare Dragon, Meteor Flare Fusion even, you can pull off some like really gross shit, right? Being able to pop one of my cards as well as something out of 3500 Dude is really good. And being able to summon a massive piercing guy is also really, really good. That can just like, not necessarily OTK your opponent, but it's enough to get a big chunk of damage in. Alright, let's get a game 3 going.
Let's try going first again.
Okay. I've seen this before.
1, 2, 3. Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, you don't really want Phoenix Dragon in your graveyard, but you want the number of dragons in your graveyard up.
2, 3.
Okay, not a bad first turn. Super great options, but let's see if Katetsu Biting can't change that. Let's pay the 500, mill a card. I can add it to my hand if I want it. Do I want that in my hand? I don't know. Don't think so right now. This ain't really the hand for it. Set. Tribute summon out Blast Hammer. Ah, I actually did have a cool play I could have made. Oh well, too late for that. Would have left me with less defenses. So we activate Blistopia. We will just take Katetsu Biting back to the top. We'll set a monster, go to battle, and I guess we'll just attack into a Legend Magician, and then just pass. Okay, get the Legend Strike, bring that back, pop the Field Spell.
Oh, damn. Oh, normal summon. Fuck.
Yeah, I don't think there's any flip summon effects in this game yet. Obviously there's no flip effect monster. But it'd be nice if they had card that said during the turn you normal or flip summon this card on some of these.
Yeah. Especially this effect. Like, come on.
Look how cute he is as well, his little eyes, his little hands.
Okay. Yeah, that doesn't help.
Well, let's see what I get. I think we are going to do this. We'll activate Trade him. No. Right, we'll summon out Katetsu Biting. Activate its effect. Then to our hand, I guess we're grabbing a high level. I guess it might as well be Phantasm Spiral Dragon. More attack. Then we will Tribute 2, summon out the Phantasm Spiral Dragon. Guess we will then set this and go ahead and activate our second Autumn Leaves of Blistopia.
Can't get away from it.
Well, I mean, we do have a lot of cards to get it back as well. I think we have 2 different cards that get it back from the grave. We'll go to battle, and then I guess we'll just try and attack into the more useful monsters. And then pass.
I mean, there's a nice cards to draw, but no fusion, so... No, there isn't. I haven't seen it.
It's always nice when you get to see your legend monster early and get it into the grave. Fortunately, it doesn't happen every game.
Yeah.
Hey, he's here.
Indeed.
So this is like one of my guys. You can out the set monster. You pretty much have to get rid of Spiral. Unless your face downs protect you.
I mean, I have to get rid of Blast Mark because you get your field spell back.
I mean, yeah, but I might get my field spell back, whereas right now I can attack you for 500 damage with Phantasm Spiral. So it's like 100% lethal if you don't have a way to stop that attack.
Yeah. Really? Come on. The fusion's just all at the bloody bottom of the deck. Sucks.
Yeah, I haven't found any of my fusion yet either.
I'm running 5 different fusion cards. With 5 copies of fusion spells.
I am only using 3. Well, let's go ahead and use our Phantomite. Let's see what we can hit. I guess we'll put you back. Sure, him.
There it is.
And we'll go and drop our fusion into the boy. Use the effect. Get rid of these.
Yeah. Your deck's just built different.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this just came down to RNG, really. It's easy to be like, oh, you know, the Worms won, therefore Worm better deck. But
Same struggle as last week, though. Like, I don't see the bloody fusion spells.
Well, especially
Game 1, where I got it out and then you just mirror forced it.
I mean, that's always going to be a problem, right? Mirror Force, or any legend is always going to be a massive blowout, right? Except like these legend normal monsters, but we're seeing a lot more play because of Legend Strike. Game 1, like, I think if it wasn't for Mirror Force, I think you do just take that like so quickly. Your turn 1 play was so strong that it was like, oh god. Because you even popped one of my face downs. If you had, instead of hitting the scat, you hit the Mirror Force, I think you just blew me completely out there. And then, like we said, games 2 and 3, I think you just got unlucky. Because that's the problem with fusion decks in general, right? Especially the fusion decks that have to use cards from hand and field, is they are more fair than a lot of the other fusion decks where you can like fuse from graveyard, or you can fuse and then plus on top of that. So our decks, both of our decks, I think, really struggle from having too hard fusion out cards, which is just something that a lot of the stronger decks aren't doing at the moment. Now, obviously, Darkness Blasphemous is great if your opponent has a bunch of set cards, if they have 3 monsters on top, bang, 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 do a ton of destruction effects, that's all fantastic. But what I've been finding playing against other people is that a lot of the time people aren't having a lot of set cards. They're not having 3 monsters on top. And there's been a couple of times where just I get out the Blasphemous, which is effectively like a -2, right? Because you have to spend 3 cards to get it out, and including a tribute summon most of the time. So actually it's more like a -4 to get this guy out. And then if your opponent just has a trap card in response to the summon and gets rid of it, it's like, oh, well, that's my turn over, I guess. But yeah, I think realistically, again, the deck I'm playing, if I don't find fusion or the field spell, is completely useless. But I did find fusion and the field spell, so it got to pop off. I think that's just how this is going to go. Again, I don't think this is going to be the last we'll see of your Red Eyes deck, though. Obviously, I think this deck really does have some teeth, and I think we can, especially I think in the next set, we're getting the Summon Skull support, right? And that seems to merge with this. So I'm quite looking forward to see what happens there. In the same way, I think I'm getting more Dark Magician cards next set.
Yeah, it's weird how much support one set after the next.
It is very
strange. Getting, and now Joey's getting some rough love.
Well, that was the other thing, is that you've got all of the other like Joey-centric cards in your deck, right? Like the Rocket Satellite Medic, which is a very strange retrain of Rocket Soldier.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what they were cooking when they came up with this guy, but he's got a little flag with a love heart on it, so, you know. Oh, but yeah, GG, buddy.
GG.